Government Business Notice number 3, standing in the name of Mrs Hersey to present the Portable Long Service Leave Community Services Sector Repeal Bill 2025, Serial 18.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, I present a bill titled Portable Long Service Leave Community Services Sector Repeal Bill 2025, Serial 18 and table the explanatory statement. Madam Speaker, I move the bill be read a first time.
Continue.
Madam Speaker, I present a bill entitled the Portable Long Service Leave Community Services Sector Repeal Bill 2025. The purpose of this bill is to repeal the Portable Long Service Leave Community Services Sector Act 2024, herein referred to as the Act. The Act, which was introduced by the former Labor government in their dying days, was nothing more than a desperate attempt to woo voters, and in typical Labor fashion, their Portable Long Service Leave scheme was not properly budgeted for. It would have relied on a Treasury loan to cover its setup cost, which was estimated to blow out between $4 to $12 million, with no ongoing funding assigned for its operation once active. Madam Speaker, the opposition leader and her government had 8 years to make these changes while they were in government, but made them 3 months before an election. Now they are acting like saints trying to claim the moral high ground, if only they did it properly in their time in government. With minimal consultation with industry and business, our CLP team strongly opposed the scheme in opposition, noting the community services sector consistently requested more detailed consultation about the proposed scheme, but this did not occur. The Act, which has not yet commenced, would have provided portability of long service leave entitlements to employees based on tenure within the community services sector, rather than relying on continuous employment with one single employer. Our government recognises the incredible and valuable contribution that our frontline workers provide to the Northern Territory. Repealing the Act does not mean the Territory Government does not value the services provided by employees within the community services sector. Its repeal will not affect employees' existing long service leave entitlements under Enterprise Agreements Awards or the Long Service Leave Act NT. As has always been the case, employees who remain with their employer will continue to be eligible for long service leave. The repeal will remove the additional financial, regulatory and administrative burdens on community service providers without the obligation to implement portability of long service leave. These employers can better focus on delivering essential frontline services. Businesses will instead be able to invest in growth, job creation, workforce development and service delivery to Territorians. We want to make the Territory a place where businesses want to come and operate, creating more job opportunities for people. We want people to move to the Territory knowing there are employment opportunities here for them. And we want people to stay and invest in the Territory. The scheme would have increased the cost for community services sector businesses operating in the Territory, including those delivering childcare, aged care, disability services, community mental health services, family and domestic violence and community legal services, and many of these services are not-for-profit. If the Labor Greens Unions coalition had their way, Territorians would have been forced to pay more for childcare at a time when they are already struggling to pay their bills. Madam Speaker, I'll quickly explain Business 101 for the opposition to take note of,
please.
And I hope they're listening. When the government forces cost increases on businesses, business pass those costs on to consumers. It really is that simple, Madam Speaker. Territorians would have the cost burden of this scheme on their shoulders. That's what we've heard from businesses and service providers through consultation, and that's what we heard loud and clear from local employers like Sarah Lloyd from Territory Childcare Group, who operated several daycares across Darwin. She said, and I quote, "The additional financial burden would have ultimately been passed on to families, which in the current economic climate would have placed even more pressures on families." On this side of the House, Madam Speaker, we would know that, of course, because we've got members with real-world experience and experience in business, so we understand and see the rationale behind repealing ill-thought-out schemes like these. But I'm not here to lecture the opposition, not that they'd understand basic economics. As a previous business owner of 25 years, I know very well the cost of and process of doing business. Childcare centres all across the Territory told us the scheme would cost them $50,000 extra a year, a cost that would be passed on directly to parents in the form of increased fees. Madam Speaker, our government's priorities are clear. We are on this side of families raising their children here in the Territory, taking practical action to reduce the cost of living burden. The opposition, on the other hand, is not on the side of young Territory families, and they showed this in their ill-thought-out scheme. In addition to the direct financial cost to employers, the scheme would require employers to maintain detailed records for each employee, submit forms at the end of each quarter to an industry board. The scheme was to be funded by a wage-based levy imposed on sector employers, which actual estimates suggested would be in the order of $2,000 per employee each year. As such, the levy is similar to a payroll tax, but without any minimum wages threshold. Based on the estimated of 10,000 impacted employees, this would increase community service sector costs by around $20 million per annum. There is limited capacity within the sector to absorb these additional costs or pass them on in the form of higher charges. As such, they would either pass the cost on to the funders of service providers, mainly the Territory Government, or increase the cost of living for Territorians. For service providers unable to recover costs through increased charges or government funding, there is the potential that the levy will result in them curtailing services or withdrawing from the Territory market. Repealing the Act means the initial cost to government to establish and administer the scheme prior to its commencement will be removed, enabling our government to focus on our three key priorities to reduce crime, rebuild the economy and restore our lifestyle, and will ensure our businesses are not burdened with the additional financial, regulatory and administrative responsibility. I turn to the bill clauses. Clause 1 of the bill sets out its short title, the Portable Long Service Leave Community Services Sector Repeal Act 2025. Clause 2 provides for the Act to commence on the day after the day on which the Administrator's assent of this Act is declared. Clause 3 repeals the Portable Long Service Leave Community Service Act 2024. Clause 4 is a formal clause that provides for the Act to be repealed the day after it commences, having done its job of repealing the Portable Long Service Leave Community Services Sector Act 2024. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to commend this bill to honourable members and table a copy of the explanatory statement.
The question